Hi everybody, we'd like to welcome you to Crafted. We're Mark and Marianne Koziel, husband and wife and co-owners. And just to give you a little information about our store, we're located at 108 West Union Street. We were open a year in July, so it's been a great year to celebrate a 1-year anniversary. Not really, there will be a celebration coming next year. We offer wine tastings every Friday. Those are usually free. We typically open 3 bottles of wine and give everybody a sample. So that's why people come to us first. We have a great wine selection. We also have 10 local artists with a little bit of space to display their wares. We do cigar nights. We have gourmet coffee and tea. So we really do have something for everyone, and we would love it if you'd step in and introduce yourselves and let us know who you are. So tonight we're going to do a wine tasting, and we're featuring Clinker Brick Winery. So I'm going to hand it over to Mark.
Thank you. And Clinker Brick Winery, and how we select the wines is based on what's happening at the given time of the year or the weekend, whatever it might be. So with Thanksgiving coming up, trying to get different wines to serve different palates, right? So a lot of people think, well, we're going to have turkey, so we have to have a white wine. Well, I say you can have whatever wine you like. It doesn't matter. And it may depend on how you even are preparing the turkey. So it may be that maybe you're deep frying a turkey and you're doing it in Frank's hot sauce, which I love. Make it a big chicken wing, but it's a turkey. You could go a little spicier with a red wine. White wines typically are what most people pair it with. So tonight with Clinker Brick, and Clinker Brick, as Marianne said, we've been open a little over a year, and one of the things that we offer is wine by the glass, which is incredibly popular on a Friday, Saturday afternoon. We have actually 8 wine taps, so you're buying the wine on tap rather than getting it in a bottle typically, and that's going to be our last one here. Clinker Brick for us, we always thought that we were going to switch up the wines as we turned over the barrels, as we kicked a barrel trying to bring in a new version of a wine, but Clinker Brick has been so popular, the Red Zinfandel, that we haven't been able to stop selling it because everybody wants it. They want it on tap. We sell it by the bottle too. So we decided to honor Clinker Brick and bring in a couple of their other wines just to try. And I think that's the thing about wine too. Like some people say, oh, I don't like a Zinfandel or I don't like a rosé. There are so many different varieties in a wine. It may have been that particular winemaker or that wine region that you didn't like versus, just throwing out all category to say that I don't like it. Now, when we do a wine tasting, we typically go with the lightest and fruitiest wine first, and then we move our way into the darker wine, the heavier wine, the bigger tannins, the dryness of the wine. So you go sweet to dry, light to heavy, typically when you do a wine tasting. And so this first one is an Albarino from Clinker Brick. And all their wines are from the Lodi Valley of California, which is a great place for Zinfandel grapes, the old vine Zinfandels. But because of the way it sits with the ocean and how the winds come in, it almost gives it a Mediterranean feel in that Lodi region. So you could they grow very nicely, the Albarino grape, and then they have a couple of different grapes in their rosés. So if I can get you to grab these. And when you do a typical tasting, the first thing is to take the glass up to a clear light, and look at the color. Now, most whites you're going to see are going to have anywhere from a very light pale straw color to a much deeper yellow color. This one I would put in kind of that lighter straw category versus a Chardonnay is going to get that deepness of a yellow that's in it. So that makes it nice and light profile. You just give it a little swirl in your glass. Whoop! Try not to spill it. Give it the sniff test. You actually get a floral aroma from this wine. Very nice, light. It's good to get that on the nose and then take it down to the palate. Very nice. You have peach, a little bit of apricot in the profile, but a very nice light wine, easy to drink, great with any type of seafood, especially. I mean, if when I pair it with seafood, it's a great wine to be able to do that. So that's the white.
We tried this tonight in preparation for Thanksgiving, but we serve clinker brick all year, and so what Christmas dinners would this go well with?
Christmas dinners for the Albarino, again, if you're going to do seafood the night before Christmas, or even with a nice light ham, and really you can pair them with just about anything as you go through. An Albarino is going to be a very light wine. Some people, like they say, I don't like whites in general. Well, a Chardonnay, even with a Chardonnay, as you talk about different Chardonnays that are out there are Chardonnays that are made in steel barrels. There are Chardonnays made in American oak. There are Chardonnays made in French oak. And people who don't like that real oaky, buttery profile at the back end of a Chardonnay, that's typically American oak coming from California. But you can get a California Chardonnay that's made in a French oak or stainless steel, and it's going to have a much different profile. So it's always, once you find that wine that you like and what it is that you like about it, trying to emulate those characteristics in the next bottle that you're going to get becomes important. So now we're going to move on to the rosé. What I like about this rosé is, for me, I'm a typical red wine drinker. I like big, bold, punch me in the face reds, right? And with the big tannin at the end. And we'll talk about that versus the red that we have. But as you look at this one, again, taking a look at the color profile, this one's going to stick to the glass a little more. You see, the teardrops coming down the glass. And that's some of the red profile coming out of it. This is going to have a nice fruit-forward flavor, a little bit of dryness to this. Not all rosés have that. Some rosés are going to be a little on the sweeter side. It's the profile of the grapes that they use for this one. You can find a rosé of Pinot Noir, and it's going to be very light. Typically, what they have in Provence from France is going to be that lighter grape. This one is actually made from a blended of Grenache grape, a Mourvedre, a Syrah, and there's one more that I am missing. I'll cheat and look at the bottle. Oh, a Carnier. I said Syrah also, right? Yeah. So because of that Syrah and the Mourvedre, what's happening is the Grenache is just this nice light profile grape, great for rosé. But then you throw in a Mourvedre, it gives it a little earthiness to it, and then the Syrah gives it a dry factor on the back end of it. And so that's why in the summer when you're in 90, 95 degree weather and you say, I don't want to go with a deep red, I want something a little lighter, something chilled, rather than going to a white, you can still go to a rosé. This is going to be the perfect Thanksgiving wine to satisfy all palates in the house. The ones who like the whites, the ones who typically like the reds. For Christmas, I would say, again, going with the ham, you could even sneak it to a white that is working with any type of a darker meat. You're going to do that prime rib roast or something else. If something doesn't like the typical red profile, if you're going to serve, let's say, that big bold red in a Cabernet with Christmas dinner, that's some level of a prime rib or strip steak or whatever it is, you can serve this also. And what will happen is it's actually going to bring out the profile of some of the darker grapes that are used to make this, based on how you're going to pair it with your meat that you're going to do for your Christmas dinner. So the last one, as I had mentioned, the last one is the Clinker Brick Zinfandel. That is what they are known for in the region. That is what Clinker Brick is known for in what they make, and is incredibly popular here at Crafted.
Which is why it's in the growler.
Yes. So that's why I was saying, and the other thing, as you're preparing for Christmas dinner or any of your dinners, typically where you're having guests over, if it'll be allowed this year. So we serve it on tap, as I had mentioned before. So that's coming out of the growler. Our taps are set for red wine are set at 55 degrees, and for white wines are set at 48 degrees. And so by the time you get that in the glass and are ready to drink, it's going to be at the perfect temperature. Everyone thinks, they say, well, you serve red wines at room temperature. Well, yeah, if your room is a 1,000-year-old basement in France, that's 60 degrees typically, that is the room temperature that wine was prepared for, right? So we have to cheat here a little in the Americas and So what I typically tell people, if you're using a standard refrigerator, a lot of people put their white wines in the refrigerator to keep their red wines on the table. Just before serving, about 15 to 20 minutes before, pull your white wines out, put your red wines in. It's going to drop the temperature of the red just enough to have it at the serving temperature, and it's going to warm up the whites a little bit, because our typical refrigerators are much colder than what they're supposed to be for a white wine. So a Zinfandel is kind of the middle of the road red. It's not too light and it's not too heavy, so it's not going to be that big bold wine. But what's nice about it too is it again can be versatile based on where your red wine drinkers are. On the front end, you're going to get the fruit. You're going to get, on this one, especially, it's a little bit of a darker fruit. A Zinfandel can have a profile of a red fruit or a black fruit. This one definitely tends to skew a little more to the black fruit, blackberries and the like. And so you get that on the nose. You get a little bit of even some leather in there on the nose. Nice legs to it, but not as deep as you'd see in a Cabernet typically or in a Syrah. But what I like about the Zinfandel is on the back side of the palate, you're going to get some spice. So it typically is fruit forward with a little bit of spice on the back end. So that spiciness is what really still satisfies the bigger, darker red drinker, and then the fruit forward is what satisfies the lighter red drinker. So again, if you give it a taste. You feel that spice on the back end. It's not big tannin. You're not getting that dry puckering feeling, but you're getting that profile of some spice that really kicks it up. And then again, for Christmas, this one would be, you could still profile it with any red meat, but this one again can be very versatile. You could do this with a pasta and red sauce. You could do it with seafood, especially like I like to make up scallops, but I like to put a little bit of my Bad Byron's butt rub that I use on my pork on those scallops, and it kicks it up a notch. And then having this wine with it is really a great pairing, and just it changes the profile so much in what you do. So that's typically how we do our wine tastings, 3 different wines. We will continually rotate, especially as we get up for Christmas, the various wines that we have. So we'll get a little darker. As we get into New Year's, start to look at some of the bubblies and things. There's just so many options. And I like to say that we are all doctors of wines here at Crafted. We have someone come in, and the beauty of having the wines on tap, I could give someone a taste off the tap. I can find their profile from there, and then we can bring them back to the wine bottles and pick the right wine based on where they are on how we see them in the profile. So come on down to Crafted. We're always pouring wine. It's a great time to be drinking your reds right in the middle of winter.